let's talk about the defensive side of the ball. Luke Waffley, I believe his name, from New Jersey. Again, up in the East Coast area. New Jersey produces good football players as well. 6'5", 245 pounds, 55th nationally, number 6 edge in the country. This is a guy that's probably going to be a top 45, top 40 player by the time it's all said and done. Maybe a 5-star, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter as long as he ends up at Texas. What do you think about this guy?
Yeah, I think he's everything you want from an edge rusher, right? Long arms, 6'6", can bend the edge really, really well. Just an elite athlete, right? You don't get to be a top 50 player in the country basically without being that kind of guy. I love his tape. He's physical, he's aggressive, he's really like he's mean and nasty. And I don't mean that as a bad. I think it's good, right? He's a defender. He wants to do that. He really loves attacking the quarterback. Texas, this is another one gets the last visit for him on June 20th. I don't love that Penn State is in the mix. Penn State recruits that region really well. His brother plays at Penn State, right? So like those are things that you have to keep in your back pocket. But ultimately, I love that Texas is in on these guys, even if they don't land all of them. Texas being in this final grouping, getting that June 20th visit, big for Texas, getting in the conversation for these guys. And he's likely going to be on a visit with a bunch of guys that are already committed or getting ready to commit to Texas. So there's something to be said about those guys getting in your ear and wanting to have a spot. So I think he's a guy that is very much in the realm of possibility for Texas. And I think his skill set is somebody who can come in. He's not going to be, I think, as instantly impactful as Colin Simmons was a year ago, but think maybe like 25% back from there, which would be an incredible freshman performance from a kid.
Yeah, it would. And, edge is one of those positions too. We're probably going to need someone because Trey Moore's probably going to be gone. Brad Spence, good chance he's gone as well. Ethan Burke could be gone. So these young guys that we do recruit in this class probably could get some early playing time. And I think this is a guy that could definitely do that. Again, you mentioned it. It's going to be hard to pull him away from Penn State. If your brother's already there, you're from that area, you get to stay close to him. I mean, that is a long flight from New Jersey to Austin, Texas. Not a very long flight from New Jersey to Happy Valley, Penn State. So I think he probably ends up there, but it is cool to have, in the top 6 of these guys, we're listed as one of them. Eventually you're going to land someone from up there, and it's going to, if that guy has a really good experience, it's, again, expanding the map, allow you to enter these places where you really haven't been before. Mac Brown really didn't even get to these places. Tom Herman definitely didn't get into these places. Charlie Strong didn't get into these places. So it's really cool to see that we're in a top 5, top 6, top 7 for these guys. And he's a really, really good player. When we talked about Lance Jackson coming to Texas and he's, 6'6", 275, this guy needs 30 pounds and he's basically Lance Jackson. So puts on that weight, he's almost all ready to go. And I bet he puts 10 pounds on by the time he gets to wherever he's going to go. So he's ready to go as soon as he gets on campus.
Yeah, and again, like I mentioned, don't discount Texas having that last visit, right? That is always the wild card, regardless of where people are and where things are at. And his brother has already transferred, but I think he's probably lined up. He could be lined up for a grad transfer situation if he decides that, both parents want them to play in Texas, whatever it is, that drive from New Jersey. I was in New Jersey for work a few weeks ago, and that drive to Pennsylvania is not far at all. So you don't even need to get on a plane to get there if you don't want to. So that's like the big one that worries me. But again, that last visit, June 20th, get him on campus, get him excited, seal the deal there, let the other players chatter in his ear and see what falls out.
Next up, Chance Calicut. This is a guy I thought was going to go to Texas from the beginning. I think he's going to end up at Texas. We are in his final 3. It's Georgia, Michigan, Texas. I just think he ends up there. I have had a read on this guy for a while now. I think he ends up at Texas. From everything I've seen on his Twitter, from everything that I've seen talked about him, and he's a hell of a player. 161st nationally, 6'3", 190 pounds, 4-star, long, rangy athlete, which is exactly what you want in this type of defense, which is exactly what you want on the safety. Likes to come up, be a little bit physical, which, again, I would rather you have to learn ball skills than, learn physicality, because I don't think you can really learn physicality. I think you're kind of born with it and then develop into it as a football player, but I think he's a really good all-around football player at the safety position.
Yeah, like you said, big, physical. This is more of that prototypical, right? We talked about Yaheem Riley, who's a little bit smaller. Like, this guy is a guy who fits the bill physically, both with his play and with his body style. Michigan is the one that worries me, I think, in this one a little bit, because they get that last visit. I keep talking about that, but Texas, in there, that second to last week is also really nice for them. He's just your prototype safety. Like, there's no two ways around it. He's a guy who, when you look at, you put a guy in the lab, like, this is kind of the kind of guy guy that comes out. And I love that, Texas is trying to keep their claws in at North Shore. North Shore has been, a Sour Patch Kid sometimes when it comes to recruiting in Texas. Sometimes things are really good. Sometimes things are really terrible. And so I think, Texas not giving up on one of the big talent schools in the country or in the state, but in the country as well. Like, I think it's great for them. Keep chopping wood, keep trying to get them on campus. Texas is really big game hunting in this defensive class, right? All these guys we're talking about are top like 150, 175-ish guys with some big names on the board, and he's another one of those.
Yeah, and I think he's a guy that could probably play right away at Texas, like a little bit in the rotation. I don't think he's a starter right away, but I definitely think he can come and be in the rotation of, the 4 to 5 safeties that we like to rotate throughout the year. I do think he's a little bit too long to play in the slot. I think you're kind of wasting him there if you put him in there, honestly. I think he's definitely a safety. Maybe, if he has good enough ball skills, you can even slide him out and play cornerback a little bit, but I think he's mostly a safety at Texas.
Yeah, I agree. I think the way and the physicality of his play, I think really fits. I think of like how Texas likes their safeties to be really violent, and think of what Andrew Makuba and what Mookie does in that safety spot, right? You really want those guys to be physical, just coming downhill in run support, slapping defenders as hard as they can, or slapping offensive players as hard as they can. So I really think, based on his play, based on his size, I see he's slotting in at safety.
Next up, but definitely not the least, Xavier Griffin from Georgia. This is a top 27 or top 30 player nationally. 247, I think, has him as like a top 15 player nationally. This is a guy that's number 8. Okay, yeah, so even higher. Yeah, he's a hell of a football player. USC gets these guys every year where they commit, but they actually don't want to go to USC because, let's be honest here, Georgia to California is a long flight, and because USC has been down. So, Justice Terry, now at Texas, was once committed to USC a long time ago in the spring, came to his senses, decided not to go there. Xavier Griffin has kind of done the same thing, and Texas gets a visit from him, and it's big dogs. It's Georgia, it's Alabama, it's Texas. So we'll see if we can win this one. This guy, 6'3", 200 pounds, and I think the perfect comp for him is Jihad Campbell. I think he can play off the edge. I think he can play inside, and he can just create havoc wherever he plays on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, when I pulled up his tape and when I pulled up his profile, it lists him as a linebacker, but he's an edge. Like, he's an edge rusher through and through. And you could see that Texas views him as an edge and as a defensive lineman because Alan Clark and Kenny Baker are his 2 primary recruiters, right? So, like, those are the defensive line coaches. They're not the linebacker coaches. Yeah. Like, there's no 2 ways around. So I think Texas views him as an edge, and I think he's a guy who can make a ton of money as an edge. He's aggressive. He likes to play in the backfield. He's very, very violent. He's a guy who likes to create those kind of explosive plays, those catalytic plays. He loves to find a ball carrier and just ruin their afternoon. And I love seeing that. And again, he's a guy we mentioned. He's a Georgia kid. He's a kid who's from deep SEC country. One of those guys that, if the Georgia staff had their way, they would not ever leave the state. But, Texas is getting that weekend visit, the 13th, not the last weekend, but they're close. That second to last weekend is good for them as well. Bama and Ohio State are the 2 big ones there. I hate recruiting against James Laurinaitis. Like, I hate recruiting against that guy. He's such a good recruiter. I hate how good Ohio State is at having their former players come in and be recruiters. The same thing goes for Brian Hartline. It's on site with him. Stay out of Austin, you bum. Like, get out of here, dude. But, like, Laurinaitis does a really great job recruiting these edge rushers, and they do a really great job. Like, they develop the heck out of them, right? You saw what Ohio State was able to do against Texas in the college football playoff. And so Xavier Griffin, I would love to have him in Austin. I think Ohio State is the one that really concerns me in this recruitment, but he is a prototypical edge, can come off the edge, disrupt something, and really be a day one contributor for Texas. He's that type of special.
No, 100%. He's a guy that could definitely play right away. And even, if he impresses enough, he could probably start right away. Like, that's how good he could be. It's interesting to me, like, 2 days after all this, he was crystal balled to Alabama. So is there something already going on behind the scenes of, hey, I'm going to take visits elsewhere, but I am going to come to Alabama, because it was like 2 days right after he decommits from USC. We'll have to see. Then again, crystal balls don't really mean that much anymore. You see all these guys put them in now, and then they'll be like, an hour before the guy commits, they'll put him in again, because NIL is crazy. You never know what's going to happen. So we'll have to see where he ends up. But the last guy, which just happened today, going to visit Texas, canceled his Florida State visit, and this is a big one. A top 10 player in the composite, Lamar Brown, defensive lineman from Louisiana. And this is how crazy this guy is. So he's an offensive lineman, played offensive line his whole time in high school. And he's like, nah, I want to play defensive line in college. So it's like, and he's rated this high. So that tells you what kind of freak athlete this guy is. And if you go look on 247 and how they describe him, it's all based on offensive line because that's all he's played. He's like good hips, good mobility. Well, guess what? He's not really going to be a lot of those things do translate. A lot of them don't, though, from the defensive to the or offensive to the defensive line position. What do you think about this guy?
Yeah, when I pulled up his profile, I laughed. He goes to University Lab High School, and he was like made in a lab to play edge rusher, right? Like that's just what he. Or I say edge rusher, like maybe that like 5 technique, kind of that whatever wherever Texas slides him in. But he's a guy who really like he's a freak. There's no two ways around it. I talked about, I think last week, I love defenders that look like the Predator on the field, just like long, lanky arms, kind of, but they're moving swiftly. They're way swifter than somebody that body size should, way smoother than somebody that body size should be. I mean, there's a reason why he's a top 10 player universally across the board. I think it's going to be really tough sledding against LSU and A&M. When you got a kid from Baton Rouge, generally it's either LSU or A&M. They recruit that area really, really well. But again, he's coming to Texas. He decided that, he wanted to take a visit. And anytime Texas gets him on campus, they've got a puncher's chance because the experience they have on campus is second to none. The opportunity to show them, hey, here's what we're going to do with you. Hey, look at Colin Simmons, see what he did. You could be that in a year, right? That's where you could be. So Texas has a lot to sell this kid. And this would be a huge recruiting win. Again, if you really want this one to go Texas's way, you need LSU to suck this year. You need A&M to suck this year because I think he's a kid that's also going to want to join a winner just based upon things I've seen and read from him. So like if LSU is not great this year, things are going to get weird for Brian Kelly in Baton Rouge. And again, A&M, they do great with defensive linemen, but if they're not good again, I think things are going to get weird in College Station for their coaching staff as well. So this is one you really, even if you didn't have enough incentive to cheer against LSU and A&M, here's some more incentive to do that.
Well, and I also think, this is the type of guy where if Brian Kelly's on the fence of being fired and you don't land someone like this will push him over the edge to get fired because, like you said, they don't really lose people out of their backyard like this. When the guy's a top 25, top 30 player and he's from Louisiana, they usually end up at LSU because they are brainwashed to go to LSU. Like every school in that every school in that state is a tiger. Every school in that state is purple and gold. So this guy since he was 7 years old playing football, that's all he's seen around him. So if LSU's any good, they usually want to end up there. So he's that good to where they could fire someone over that. Dylan Berryman is another guy like that as well. And at Texas, I believe he's getting a visit with him as well. So, and that's the thing too about Lamar Brown. I thought it was funny. I saw On 3 release athlete visits Texas, and I look at the picture. I'm like, this dude is an athlete. He's gigantic. Why is he listed as an athlete? And then you come to know, he plays offensive line, but he wants to play defensive line. So I'm like, yeah, that's just crazy to me. He's probably the biggest athlete I've ever seen listed on any site.
Yeah, I mean, he's like athlete because they don't know where he's going to project, right? But it's somewhere in the trenches. Either way. Again, this is one of those you get him on campus and you sort it out later, right? You just figure it out as Texas does. So again, there's no two ways to say this other than like it's going to be tough to beat LSU in this one, but getting him on campus, getting him to schedule a visit, anything can happen, right? I wish it was a later visit. I wish it was the 13th that next week or even the 20th 2 weeks later, but I will take getting this kid on campus, let the coaches get in his ear, and maybe they bring him in for one of these smaller visit weekends to, hopefully give him some more one-on-one attention and show him exactly how much Texas values him.
No, I agree. I think he should get like the Michael Fasusi getting a picture with Sark in the SUV type treatment. So we'll see if they give him that. Again, guys, please hit that like button.